Hello and welcome to the Halo IGX system training session. Today we're going to talk about the grant creation process and how the authorized official uploads pre-disbursement conditions and electronically signs a grant agreement. We'll also talk about what happens after the authorized official signs a grant agreement so everyone knows what to expect before the grant is executed. The first step of the grant creation process is done by the grant specialist. The grant specialist creates a grant by completing a few pages in the system, such as the program description and grant budget pages. Once both are complete, the grant specialist will send it to the manager for review. Once the manager receives the grant, the manager reviews and verifies the grant. The manager will either approve the grant or send it back for modifications, providing feedback to the grant specialist as needed. If the grant is correct, the manager will send it to the financial analyst for grant funding. The next step is where the grant funding and the agency SAM.gov review are completed. The financial analyst completes the SAM.gov review, and if it comes back that the grantee has an active registration and is not debarred, the financial analyst funds the grant. Once both are complete, the financial analyst will send it to legal for final review and approval. Once legal receives the grant, legal approves it or sends it back for modifications. Once legal approves a grant, it will go to the grantee signature's required status, and the authorized official will be notified that the grant agreement is ready to be electronically signed. So now that we went through the grant creation process before it gets to the grantee signature's required status, I'll now do a walkthrough on uploading pre-disbursement conditions and electronically signing a grant agreement. The first step is logging into IGX. Once you've entered your username and password, click Login to access the IGX system. Once you have logged into IGX, the system will take you to the dashboard, which is the screen shown here. To get to the grant using My Tasks, scroll through the list of tasks on My Task panel on the dashboard. Your grant will show up in the list once it is ready to be signed and the grantee signature's required status. Click on the grant number shown here in red to go to the grant. Just so you know, clicking on your organization's name will take you to your organization's information page, not your grant. Once you've selected the grant that needs to be signed, you'll see the grant details on the grant dashboard. You'll review the applicable pages on the left-hand menu and then click Grant Documents. Once you're on the Grant Documents page, you will scroll down and see the grant agreement and the pre-disbursement conditions applicable to the grant. Each of the documents can be viewed using the hyperlink for that document. Documents with an upload box require an upload. The required documents depend on the grant and the type of organization you work for. After uploading the applicable pre-disbursement conditions, you will scroll up and enter your name and title to sign the grant agreement. If your name entered doesn't match a user profile, you cannot sign the grant agreement. Your user profile name is above the Save button on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Once it is signed, you will click Save, and then you will click Submit Signed Grant on the left-hand menu under Status Options, followed by the OK button on the pop-up. Once you click the Submit Signed Grant and the OK button on the pop-up, you've successfully signed the grant agreement and uploaded the pre-disbursement conditions required. You don't have to do anything else until the grant is executed, but I now want to provide a quick overview of what happens after completing these tasks, so you know what to expect after the grantee signature's required status. The first thing that happens after the grantee signature's required status is that the grant goes to the grant specialist to review and approve the uploaded pre-disbursement conditions. Once a grant specialist approves the uploaded pre-disbursement conditions, the grant specialist will send it to the division director for signature. Once the division director receives the grant and signs it, the division director will send it to the grant executed status or to the executive director for signature. If it goes to the executive director for signature, it means the grant award was over $100,000. The division director may also send it to the federal liaison if the grant requires federal reporting, or it will happen after the executive director signs the grant agreement if the grant requires it. As you can see, steps 8 and 9 are only applicable in certain situations, but you'll always see the grant go to the division director for signatures. Once these steps are complete, the grant is executed in the system, and you can begin working with the grant and submitting financial status reports or amendments as needed. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please feel free to reach out to your grant specialist or email our division email box shown here on the screen. Thank you for watching this training video, and I hope you found it helpful.